Okay, guys, this video is going to be looking at the shoulder, so I want to thank Danny for being the model. Some of you have been working with her. Real quick, we're going to start with the bony landmarks. Just going to take a quick look at the model right here of the humerus, okay? So this is the anterior humerus. This is the head of the humerus. Here's the lesser tubercle. There's that intertubercle groove where the long head of biceps tendon sits, and then this whole aspect right here. That's the greater tubercle. We talked about that in class. So this whole greater tubercle starts in the anterior, wraps all the way around lateral, and goes all the way to posterior. So if we were to place it up on Danny right here, you can see lesser tubercle is right here, and that greater tubercle is going to take up most of her lateral forearm, or lateral upper arm. All right? So we're going to start with our basic palpations. I always like to start with what we know and can find easily. So let's just start with the jugular notch. Easy enough to find right here. All right? And from jugular notch, we can work our way out the clavicle. Again, very easy to palpate the clavicle. Come down, and where the clavicle terminates, that's our acromion process right up here. It should be the tip of the shoulder. That's the acromion process attached to the scapula. All right? Put a little pressure right there. That's the acromioclavicular joint. From here, I'm just going to drop straight off, and this whole area right there, that is my greater tubercle of the humerus. All right? So there's acromion, drop down, greater tubercle of the humerus. Remember the picture in the book that has the hand that sits over the top with all the insertion points of the rotator cuff, so keep that picture in mind. Moving around into the front, right into the front, you can feel it. That's the long head of the biceps brachii. You might be actually able to even see it snapping. Matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can grab the phone here. Zoom in right here. Whoop. Always hard to figure it out. Right there. And you actually see, when I get in there and I palpate it, you actually see the tendon snapping right there. See that tendon snapping? Once you find that long head of the biceps brachii, you know lesser tubercle is right next to it and greater tubercle is right next to it. So find that long head of biceps brachii, makes everything much easier. All right? So those are our main bony structures. Sternum, out to clavicle, to acromion, greater tubercle, long head of biceps brachii, lesser tubercle. The last bony landmark is that coracoid process. We're going to ask Danny to sit right in front of the camera. Anterior, even though it's on the scapula, it's still an anterior palpation. So we're going to start right here on acromion. We're going to drop down and in, and right underneath the clavicle, that should be the coracoid process. All right? The clavicle is right here, the acromion is right there. We drop right into this soft spot right there. There's the coracoid. Clavicle, acromion, coracoid, greater, lesser tubercle. All these little bony palpations. So be very diligent and very efficient in your palpation. Very small amount of area. All right? So now we're back at the posterior side with Danny. We're going to still do the bony palpations. So we're going to stay on her left shoulder. Now we can come back to acromion and then palpate the spine of the scapula all the way back where it terminates to the medial border. Or we can just chicken winger and have the medial border pop out. Either way is fine. I don't care how you get there. So we're going to palpate the medial border. Right here, that's her inferior angle. Up top is her superior angle. Again, medial border. This will be her lateral border. If we can actually follow that all the way up, there's the infraglenoid tubercle way up high in the axilla. Axilla being the armpit area. We care about the infraglenoid tubercle because of the insertion of the long head of the triceps brachii. All right, so these are our bony landmarks. We're going to actually relax. Medial, inferior, lateral, superior. We followed the spine of the scapula again. If I kind of stop right here and I drop my fingers down, that's infraspinatus fossa. Spine of the scapula, roll my fingers up. That's supraspinatus fossa. And if I come chicken winger again and put my fingers up underneath, that's subscapular fossa. All right, so we got the anterior, we have our posterior, our fossas, our different landmarks. So we're going to do the muscles, and I'm just going to go right in the order of the muscles that are in the textbook. All muscles are connecting bony landmarks, so if you feel comfortable with the bony landmarks, all you have to do is connect the muscles, and that's it. So remember, for example, we're doing origin trace insertion for each of our muscles. So the first muscle is the deltoid, starting on clavicle, spine, scapula, coming down, tapers to the deltoid tuberosity. So just follow the nice tapering deltoid, about a third or halfway down the deltoid. So this would be, or down the humerus, this would be deltoid muscle. Next, trapezius. We're going to ask Danny to swim around posterior. Trapezius has 3 fibers. We already know the landmarks, so we're looking for the spine, which we can easily find. We're going to find the scapula, and we're going to find the nuchal line at the cranium. So upper trapezius comes right here. You can even grab it right there. Let's see if I can get it in the camera. That bit right there, that's upper trapezius. Upper trapezius coming from the spine going out, that's middle trapezius. Here, coming down, that's lower trapezius. If you're going to palpate them all as a group, you can basically take them like that. This would be the whole trapezius muscle right here. A nice triangle-shaped muscle. Latissimus dorsi, going to stay posterior latissimus dorsi. It's similar to trapezius, but it's going to start a little bit lower down here in the thoracolumbar fascia. Going to come up, big, broad origin. Now, this is the awkward one. It's going to pass through the axilla and insert into the lesser tubercle. I am going to actually grab the camera here so you can see where I'm going. So it's going to start broad origin here, come through, go through the axilla. So it's going to actually come through and insert right into this lesser tubercle on the anterior side. All right? That's latissimus dorsi. Its neighbor, or its little helper, is teres major. Let's find that inferior angle of the scapula. I'm right here. Teres major comes through the axilla, inserts in the lesser tubercle. So latissimus dorsi, teres major, they basically they don't join, but they run together through the axilla into lesser tubercle. So 2-for-1 deal with those muscles. Flipping through the book, now we're going to talk about a rotator cuff. We're already looking at the posterior, so we'll stay in the posterior. Find the spine of the scapula, drop down, infraspinatus. Starts here, inserts into greater tubercle. So this would be infraspinatus. Actually, I'm going to ask Danny to sort of sit back at that angle. Right there, perfect. So infraspinatus starts here and inserts into the greater tubercle. Spine of the scapula, come on top, supraspinatus. Here,